I'll give you a clue. It was Greensby.
They are pressing quite well. What's happened there? You've got to be joking.
Oh, sorry, I've done it the wrong way around. So I've drawn an arrow. I haven't seen it. Sorry.
He must have a horsey up his ass.
If we're playing on professional and that's happening for Barcelona,
2 years ago. Sorry about that. I don't know what that was.
I'm sorry, that's just put me off the game. I'm not having that.
Anyway, segue, moving on.
What has that got to do with football? Why is that at a football ground?
Hello and welcome to the Honest Football Podcast, where we bring honesty back to the beautiful game. I'm Craig Savage, and with me as always is Charlie Betts and Daniel Cody.
Coming up on the show, we've got our weekly EFL and Non League review, as well as question of the day and story of the week.
How's your week been, guys?
Yeah, not too bad. I had a football match on Saturday. I'll get this out of the way now.
Is it going to be another self-absorbed rant?
No, it's not another self-absorbed rant. No, I'm going to put it out there for debate actually, and genuinely interested in feedback. So, had a game on Saturday, regardless of the fact that we were 1-0 up with 6 minutes to go. Had a bit of a mini collapse, you know. Aside from that,
how much of a mini collapse?
Well, as in they scored 3 goals in 6 minutes, but
that's a proper collapse.
That is a proper collapse. No, the issue was, and I'd be interested to hear, the second goal, basically, our centre half went down with a head injury, so the referee stopped the game, outside the area, but stopped the game, and gave a drop ball, you know, obviously once all the treatment had gone on. The opposition had the ball in their own half, hasten to add. So he's dropped it as a goalkeeper and he's gone to knock it back, you know, obviously, probably not to their goalkeeper because that's too far, but, you know, towards back to where the ball was in their own half, essentially. Yeah. As he's done it, because we're talking about local footballers who aren't paid a penny to play football, he's kicked the ground and scuffed it straight to their centre forward, which is quite embarrassing, admittedly. And obviously the goal gaping from about 25 yards, the bloke's just rolled it in, because obviously there's no one there because the goalkeeper's taken the drop ball.
Why? Can I look? Because you told us about this briefly in the week, and I was quite in your support that he shouldn't have put it in.
I'm not.
But what I didn't know was that it was 25 yards out and the goalkeeper came to take it.
No.
Sorry.
You're not listening. The striker was 25 yards out.
No, stop. Okay, but you've highlighted the fact that at this level there are prone to be errors.
Yeah.
Okay, so leave your goalkeeper right on the goal line and let one of your centre halves.
No. But you got to understand,
but the referee stopped it.
Yeah, the referee stopped it. Yeah, and give it to the keeper.
He doesn't mind who gives it back.
What do you mean?
But if he's giving it back to the keeper...
No, he's dropped the ball.
Okay.
No. So he's on the edge of the area, he's dropped the ball in front of the goalkeeper, and he's scuffed it. Maybe 25 was a bit of an...
So did your keeper kick it off the floor?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He's dropped it. It's a drop ball. He's dropped it.
I have no sympathy. That's why I have no sympathy.
The keeper can pick it up. If you get a drop ball...
He goes outside the area, isn't it?
So then my original question remains, why was the keeper 25 yards out?
The point being, whether he scuffed it or not, I mean, there was chaos that ensued afterwards. You know, the game got stopped for a minute or two because of people giving off or whatever. But, you know, the bloke's tapped it in, regardless of, like you say, whether he should have kicked out his hands or not. Was that unsporting or not, is what
of course it was unsporting. It's whether it was morally wrong enough that it shouldn't be done.
For me, the goalkeeper's messed up, and he scuffed it to their player who scored. End of the day, you're going to win the game. As in,
yeah, but it was 1-1 at this point. I'm not saying...
It's not my fault. It's not the opposition fault that the keeper has scuffed it straight
Easy
to their
way to
player.
fix this. The three of us, let's have a vote and see who wins.
I know who's going to win this.
If you were the centre forward, would you put it out of play again or give it back to the keeper, or would you score?
I don't think that was my issue. My issue was that instinctively you would probably have kicked it in the net and then thought, oh shit, what have I done? You know, should there then have been? No, like you've
I'd
seen
put it straight up. I'd put it straight up.
No, what?
Okay, but either way, if you haven't, and instinctively, but should you then straight away gone, do you know what, I'm really sorry, go up the other end and we'll just tap one in and we'll go back to a level score?
No.
Let's agree a half punishment, where instead of you putting it in the net or giving it back to the keeper, you run it to the corner flag and put it as close to the corner flag for a throw-in. So you can box them in then, and there's half and half.
I think it's, on a serious note, I suppose what I'm saying is, has gamesmanship taken over from sportsmanship? Is the cost of winning now? Let's be honest. Public football, where the most your people are paying to play, they're paying subs. You're getting 3 points. They're mid-table. We're mid-table. It's not going to have much of an effect on the league this weekend. Might do later on, but I'm just saying this weekend. Is winning that important to you that you would maybe do that?
And they would have won anyway.
3 points.
Well, they probably would have won, but yeah.
3 points. At the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points. You moan about how, like, for example,
I think it's morally wrong, Craig. And
I think, well, it's not. Yes, it's morally wrong, but at the end of the day,
No,
I can't help it. The goalkeeper flushes line straight to their striker.
Obviously, legally in the laws of the game, we know he hasn't done anything wrong. No, I'm just saying that is football at that standard? We're not talking about the Premier League where a goal is worth 15 grand.
At the Premier League where it probably wouldn't happen, to be honest.
No, is that I don't know. Okay, we're never going to agree on it.
No, it's the goalkeeper messed up. Sorry.
Personally, I think if the striker either shouldn't have scored or if he did, instinctively it's tapped it in. I'd have then said, right, do you know what, have the goal back. Like, as in, go up there and tap on him.
Well, always good to start the show with a 5-minute disagreement.
Heat of the moment, I don't think he would have. I just got 3 points here from the goalkeeper messing up his kick. No, sorry, no sympathy. Time for the EFL review, and new owners at Wigan Athletic. The Whedon family have sold it to a company called International Entertainment Corporation from Hong Kong.
Wonderful.
So 23 years that the Whedons were in charge of. But to be fair, it's gotten from Division 3, the old Division 3, all the way up to the Premiership and the FA Cup. So
and still never filled the stadium once.
And they got a new stadium as well.
Can I just stop here? 6 minutes ago, Charlie said, "I'm not going to produce any overstatements this episode," and immediately he's done it.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, he's done a great job. I think it's. Obviously times change, don't they? Have to sell up eventually.
Well, 22 million, I think they've got it for. That's only 22 million.
Yeah, but the infrastructure of the club's hugely different to what it was. That's a huge improvement.
It probably got the money from Wigan Warriors from the Rugby League. Moving on from the Championship, I normally use the term wanker of the week for certain players who've messed up, and this week it's Chris Maxwell of Preston North End.
Preston North End.
Yeah, 1-1 draw, but
against Ipswich, Lambert.
Against Ipswich,
10 man.
Yeah, no one cares about that, Lambert. But
what do you mean no one cares? We were talking about it a week ago.
It's very topical.
I said
it's one of the most important bits of the EFL review. Is a manager in the Championship's first
a relegation 6-pointer. November, October, whatever you want to call it.
Glad that you finally acknowledged it's a relegation 6-pointer.
But I don't think you should be the man in charge.
There was a sending off, and you're completely glossing over all of that.
No, I'm going to say. I'm going to talk about what he gave away a penalty to start with.
That's what you get for using the wrong set of words.
He gave away a penalty to start with. Chris Maxwell got booked, and then second half he's come flying out of his head to the sidelines, completely smashed the striker in, and then gets second. Yeah, so how are you doing? They already made 3 subs and they had to get their striker who just literally equalised to go and goal.
And Ipswich still couldn't score.
And that's why Paul Lamp shouldn't have the job.
You can't. Mate, come on.
What influence has he had?
It's not like FIFA, is it?
Can we talk about the top?
Yeah, go for it.
2 different new leaders at various points this weekend. So Norwich went top on Saturday after a 4-0 win at Sheffield Wednesday. Dark Horses, one of the few things Charlie might get right this year. Possibly the only one. And then on Sunday, Leeds regained top spot.
Did you see Wigan had a counter-attack against Leeds? It was just one player going for goal, and Leeds had 7 players all around him.
It's like playground football, isn't it?
Quick, get the ball!
Yeah, that one kid who was at a pro club who just run with it, and then everyone else chasing him.
Quickly chasing down. Oh, it was brilliant. Brilliant defended by Leeds. I have to give him credit for that.
One of the results that caught my eye was Rotherham beating Swansea. Because I think both of you had Rotherham to go down this year.
We did.
And I'll tell you what, they're doing all right.
Yeah.
They're plodding along quite nicely, sitting quite comfortably. I mean, luckily there's been a few awful teams in the league so far this year, but Swansea had to go up, and Rotherham gave them a right good time.
I saw that Wilfred Boney is back in training, so he's been off for 9 months with a knee injury back at Swansea. So he's.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, he's there. He's there.
I completely forgot about him.
That could be a game changer later on in the year.
I mean, 5 years ago, one of the best strikers in the Premier League.
Unbelievable. Birmingham had their 11-match unbeaten run end by Derby.
Yes.
Like every team, Derby seems to do well.
They don't seem to win by more than a goal, do they?
Or just give away 2 own goals.
Yes.
Vital win for Hull down the bottom at home to West Bromwich Albion. West Brom having a bit of a weird run.
It happens to every team at some point in the Championship. I wouldn't overreact, as so many chairmen seem to. Another team down there that got a win was Reading.
Did they?
They beat Bristol City 3-2. Got a good result. They're just on the edge of getting out there. They're level on points with Preston again. So hopefully they'll be out in no time, because we all know that Preston need to go down.
It's interesting though, Paul Clement, isn't it?
He's a good manager. As you said at the start, the resources they've got now
it's not
non-existent. I had one more in the Championship, which was Aston Villa. Dean Smith, we talked about him last week. They've stopped the rot. They won against Bolton.
It was a good 2-0 win against Bolton.
Yeah, Bolton are on a bit of a slide, but you can only beat what's put in front of you, and they got back to winning ways, so fair play to them.
On to League One, and there was a remarkable game at Scunthorpe. They 3-0 down to Oxford, and it took them 3-0 down at home to Oxford, and it took them 6 minutes to get 3 goals. So fair play to them.
Talking of Oxford, did you see they've had
Segway.
Sorry?
Segway.
I don't know, is that a segue? I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend to attempt one now.
Okay, go on.
No, but former Inter Milan owner and president has bought a stake in the club. Did you know that?
No,
I'll try and pronounce his name. Eric Torbier. Basically Eric, and then his last name is Thohir. But yeah, so he's joined the board at Oxford United.
Lovely.
No, but I think that's quite going from Inter Milan to Oxford. It's a bit of a change, isn't it?
It is a bit of a change.
That is a bit of a change.
Do you want me to do the next bit, Craig, until you regain your composure?
What's wrong with that? How would you pronounce that?
It's fine, mate. I want to talk about the two teams at the bottom who have both lost 6 games in a row. Bradford City, who replaced their manager in early September. How did that work out? Not very well. And Wimbledon have lost 6 in a row. And as this goes out, they will just about be on TV away to Haringey.
And we're looking forward to that game live on the BBC.
Yeah, well, that was obviously at the bottom, wasn't it? Shrewsbury. I think I had to go up, if I remember correctly. And,
well, yeah, they were in the playoffs last season, the playoff final.
Yeah, but that was a big game. Right?
Scunthorpe avoided a big stat. I know you've already mentioned them. Their draw meant that they didn't go 6 defeats on the bounce, and that would have been the first time in over 4 years that 3 teams would have gone 6 defeats in a row in the same league.
They're still, I mean, Wimbledon are still holding on to Neil Erdley. If I pronounced that wrong, right, Craig? Is that okay? I don't know.
They've got no budget. He's got to have a job there for a long time.
For them. Cody, you went to Rochdale.
I did go to Rochdale.
How was Rochdale?
What's the score? After all
Can I point out that the ticket at Rochdale was £22?
No.
Due to strikes by Northern Rail, my train ticket cost totals £44 instead of £28. So even if things had gone smoothly, you're talking £50 for an away day in League One, which is ridiculous.
Did you?
And that's because I'm lucky enough to have a friend that I don't have to pay for accommodation.
No,
did you see Ellis from away days?
I did not. I don't know who he is.
No. Did Luton bring many up there? Was it quite a lot?
Like
you were saying,
just under 1,000.
Luxury of staying over.
Obviously, Rochdale consistently have one of the worst attendances of the league. It's a set of 23rd average attendance. It's all right, pretty similar to Luton. Yeah, it's not too bad. They've got one crappy terrace at the end, but the other 3 stands are up there with standard League One. What I wanted to talk about is the fact that Rochdale absolutely dominated the game.
Oh, really?
James Shea in goal for Luton was unbelievable. He made 4 or 5 saves that were bordering on world class. It reminded me of them sort of games. You know, Fabianski used to have at Swansea.
Oh, right.
It reminded me of one of them where he just saved absolutely everything. Without him, it could have been 5 or 6. And I mentioned at the start of the season as a Luton fan that Danny Hilton might become a liability this season. And lo and behold,
last week as well.
I did. Flies into a tackle. And what happened? Straight red card. And now he's banned for 3 games.
Well, technically 4 if you want to count the Treacher Trophy against Peterborough.
Well, yes, and rightly so, because he wasn't going to play anyway.
Last thing in League One, sorry. Just a little stat for you.
Plymouth
played Sunderland. Sunderland actually brought just over 1,200 fans to play.
Are you giving us mileage?
I am, yeah.
5 on the bounce now.
406 mile round trip.
Oh, that's an 8 hours.
Quite a lot.
That's a whopper.
Yeah, but fair play, I don't know how many would have come down, but that's an unbelievable attendance.
When you're in that sort of form, it doesn't matter. Up to second, and that might be one of the few I've got to eat my words with this season.
Do you know who's been nominated for Player of the Month for League One?
I don't know about the players. I know the managers. Not. I know the
manager. One player has been nominated. Is Adebayo Akinfenwa.
Good.
Which is a League One player, not a League Two player.
I did see because Freddie Ladabo or whatever his name is at Plymouth, he got nominated as well. Yes, he scored a lot of goals. He'd done well.
On to League Two now, and last week I was saying about how cruel it is to lose in the last minute, like a long with Carlisle. This time Carlisle scored in the last minute to beat Newport thanks to Danny Granger.
Very good.
Wonderful stuff.
Yeah. League Two was quite boring this week, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I wanted to mention Forest Green. Obviously, I've been following them because of their long unbeaten runs. They lost their first game a few weeks ago, went 3 unbeaten again, and now they've lost again. They're down to 9th, so that'll be the last of my Forest Green unbeaten runs coverage. Port Vale
should have been the last one they lost.
Port Vale, on the other hand, are now 4 unbeaten, and they've moved up to 13th. A team that we all mentioned in the relegation talk. I don't think any of us actually picked them, but we all mentioned them.
They were in my 3 of the 2 that I thought were dog shit.
Yes, I believe they were. And most of the teams you mentioned in that Forest Green were in there as well.
Honestly, I'm completely messed that one up.
I'll tell you what, he's the midweek game in Mansfield.
Yeah,
they moved up into the playoffs now. They went to Grimsby.
Yes. Grimsby not doing so well. 3 defeats in a row.
They never started the season, Grimsby.
They're down to 21st now, 4 points clear of the relegation zone. Luckily, there's 3 teams worse than them: Macclesfield and Cheltenham, who are miles behind them. Yeah. And then Notts County. I'd noticed because we'd mentioned a few weeks ago that they'd won a couple under Kuehl now. No winning 5, 22nd, 3 points off the relegation zone.
To go up.
I mean, we're talking about teams that are on 11 and 7 points after 16 and 17 games in the bottom 2, and Notts County are only 3 points clear of that.
Do you think he might have messed up? Maybe.
Well, Crawley are doing okay without him. So.
The thing is that potentially is that's a career, wrecker if it's not careful. That taking that job and then
And again, probably a mistake to sack Nolan.
Yeah.
Like so many others.
Big fan.
I had one other thing to mention in League Two. Crewe had back-to-back defeats. The side I predicted to finish bottom of the Football League this year. They're on the slide. They're well down in the bottom half now. And I mean, it looks like most of these sides are going to be lucky that Cheltenham and Macclesfield are both in the league.
Yeah.
And Cheltenham again sacked Gary Johnson in August.
Yeah,
how's that working out?
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Every single time it backfires.
You love having a dig at.
I do. I had one more.
But he's got a point. We're not even a quarter.
So we've talked.
I agree.
Hang on, we've talked about Bradford in League One.
No, you talk about Bradford.
Who are bottom. We've talked about Cheltenham in League Two, who are marooned.
And then we're going to get.
Notts County are the best.
Then we're going to talk about Dover and Braintree in the non-league review.
Well, give it a few weeks' time. I'm going to talk about Ipswich.
And then we're going to be talking about Hereford.
Yeah,
so there's plenty of.
I know you don't like Paul Lambert, but they're probably, given what you were saying, they shouldn't be in that situation.
One last thing in League Two was Northampton. We'd mentioned that Keith Curle took over a little while ago. They've got 3 wins in a row now, so
that's worked out, isn't it?
That has worked out, but he was a good appointment.
Daniel Powell scored for him, didn't he, at the weekend? Or
he's a local boy. Yeah, I've seen him a few times every week. No, pretty much.
His brother was my estate agent when I bought my house.
Really?
Wonderful.
There you go. Moving on anyway.
And now it's time for Story of the Week. So, Story of the Week time, who's got a good story?
I don't know if it's a good story.
Okay.
I found it an interesting story. It was slightly controversial this week.
Oh.
It involved 2 countries, Russia, the Russian Premier League, and the Argentinian Cup final.
Right, okay, interesting.
Together?
Let's hear
They're linked in the story.
Let's pull up a pew and listen.
So, we're talking about a player called Leandro Paredes, I think it's pronounced.
Right.
I apologise if it's wrong. He's a former Boca Juniors midfielder. Mm-hmm. He had to deny accusations this week that he got himself sent off in a league game deliberately for Zenit St Petersburg so he could attend the Boca Juniors Cup final.
Oh, lovely.
So he got suspended.
That's good.
So what's happened is he was already planning to go to the game, but because the games in Russia are quite late on a Saturday night, I believe, and obviously the Argentinian South American time zone's a long way behind, so it was very touch and go for his flight. He'd probably land, I think, about 2 hours before the Cup final. Yeah. So he was scheduled to just make it. But what he's done is he's gone and get himself sent off in a league game.
So he's gone straight off and get changed and gone out the ground.
So no, he's not gone straight off the ground. So he's already planned to play in the Europa League tonight as we're recording, yesterday as this goes out. But he's going to go straight from the Europa League game on Thursday down to Argentina for the Cup final at the weekend and doesn't have to worry about the league in the week. So he's not going to watch his own side instead.
What did he get sent off for?
I'm not sure what he got sent off for.
I hope it's like he punched someone or something. Like, it's so outrageous.
He's Sergio Ramos did.
It said he was dismissed with 8 minutes left. I think it was just a second yellow card, but it was arguably very close to being deliberate. So although he'd already planned his flight to attend, this all came about because little plans came out, they were leaked, that he'd actually changed his flights almost immediately after the game where he was sent off. Changed his flight back a day. Obviously, you want to leave that a little bit of distance between the game and changing your flight, so you don't have that. He's ended up having to have, had a huge backlash from fans, he's ended up having to have a meeting with the chairman of Zenit St Petersburg, and he's come out in a formal statement to say the man's behind me and everything's fine, they trust me.
Over there, but it's not, that's the one country you don't be doing that sort of stuff. You know.
And his defence when he came out in the statement was, it's all a lie, nothing happened here, it's something that was invented in Argentina as a story, I didn't earn a red on purpose, I would never do something like that. Zenit say they trust me.
But he changed his flight literally after the game.
So I just...
while I'm here, I'll just like...
Might as well just get a line to take the test.
So maybe not interesting, maybe not good, but certainly controversial.
The fact there's an air of mystery about it makes it...
but hopefully Charlie's going to give us something a bit more positive.
Yeah. So this actually went out last week. So there was a video. Have you heard of it? So there's a team in the Highland League in Scotland called Fort William FC.
I have heard of them.
So I heard of them. So the Highland League is unofficially the 4th division in Scotland in the sense that it's the lowest paid football league. Not everyone in there is paid. So in terms of money and stuff, it's probably a bit like the South Midlands here, that you'll have some teams that pay certain players, and then the lower teams will just be So they lost they didn't win a single game last season. So I think they drew 5, lost the rest. Goal difference was astronomical. Just because of where they are, when they're in the Highland League, I mean, they're properly out in the sticks. If you get a chance, look on their Twitter. Their ground, it's just this tiny stand, but it's in this backdrop of this huge man. It looks like the most beautiful place to play football. Like, it's stunning, serene sort of thing in the background. But essentially, the league asked them to step down into the amateur ranks of Scotland, various county leagues and all of that.
Yeah.
And they refused. And initially it seemed like...
Rightly so, by the way.
Yeah, correctly so. And initially it seemed like, oh no, what's the point? If you look at their fixtures, they've been given a hiding, even this season. They've lost 10-0, 11-0. They actually drew midweek in fairness, 3-3. Still haven't won though, so we're going from last season way through. But the reason why, if you get a chance, basically a documentary maker has gone up there. It's only 6 minutes long. If you go on their actual Twitter handle, you'll see it's like giving a whole thing about what the community, how it's built around the football club. It's this tiny little club, up in there. But I just think it's such a good thing about how football can be used as like, it basically...
It's a bit of football that we keep talking about being forgotten.
Yeah, and it brings all the local businesses together. It just gives people... It's a meeting point for the local community and stuff. Yes. And actually, what they were saying was if they'd gone into the amateur leagues, they'd have gone bust. The operating costs, to then get the players into an area like that, and... you've then got to try and get money because you can't charge at that level because you haven't even got linesmen. You know what I mean? So running floodlights and all this sort of stuff.
I know you mean it to be a feel-good story.
Yeah.
But is it not just another example of leagues and FAs being completely out of touch with how football affects the community?
Exactly.
And just worrying about the basic standard of the pitch and the table?
Yeah. And it's just a shame, really. But if you watch the documentary, it's so well done. It just shows how much. How many people are needed to run a football club, regardless of whatever level you're talking about.
That is true.
And I just think it was just really good to show that football sometimes gets bad press, obviously at the top level of the game. You hear about Raheem Sterling this week cheating and all this sort of stuff. But there is a nice side to it, and actually that football is so valuable to lots of people still, whether it's in a big city like London or in the sticks up in Scotland.
Yeah. Sometimes that's why we have days like non-league day.
Yeah, exactly.
Because sometimes football's about more than football, isn't it?
And that's the thing. That's the point of the documentary is the fact they're only getting spanked 7, 8, 9, 10 every week. That actually they're not bothered about it. Obviously they are, but they see beyond that and just the purpose of the football club and what it is, how it's so ingrained into the community.
And that's probably quite a nice away trip for some of the other players.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so it's all of that, but then local businesses will do well off of that because some clubs, because obviously in the Scottish clubs,
a couple of hundred people who are coming to your little tiny village and going to the fish and chip shop or the local news agents.
And that's what they're saying. If they went into the local county leagues, be gone.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's a nice good way to finish.
That was
very
nice. Very nice. Now it's time for the non-league review, and in the Vanarama League there's been a few managerial appointments and one sacking. So we'll start with the sacking, which is very...
loves a sacking, doesn't he?
He does love a sacking.
As we've seen earlier in the show, they all work out so well.
So Ebbsfleet have sacked Darren McMahon.
Disgusting.
And they've already replaced him with Gary Hill, which is former Woking manager, former Dagenham and Redbridge.
He's a decent manager, but what it basically tells you is they'd had that plan before he left. Because they actually
won.
Very quick. They won the last game as well, by the way. Ebbsfleet, they won at the weekend. So, not quite happy with that. They beat Barrow 1-0. McMahon last season overachieved, got them into the playoffs. Got them into the Ebbsfleet.
They got to the playoff semi-finals.
Playoff semi-final with Ebbsfleet, okay? I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
He's a good young manager. Not only that, he'd played there the last couple of years of his career beforehand. So he's a proper club man. He's been working hard. He'd rejected opportunities the last year to go to bigger and better clubs. You could say more reputable to avoid the bigger and better debate. But to sack him after this amount of the season... particularly, we've talked before about the off the pitch. 7 of the 10 months where their players weren't paid on time. They came back late to pre-season over a bonuses dispute and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you not think that the fact that he steadied his ship and got them in mid-table is arguably as big an achievement as getting them in the playoffs last year?
Coaches before they left about a month or so ago.
Yeah, and he said, I'll stand by the club. At that point, when the coaches were left, his allies at the club, and it just all reeks a bit, and I really don't understand. Did you see the statement?
I'm not going to read it because it was just one of those generic ones, but it was like, he's done well to get us to this stage and consolidate
But we don't care now.
Yeah, but it's like the word consolidate, like...
How is Ebbsfleet getting to the National League playoff semi-final consolidate?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
When's the last fucking time they got there?
Yeah, so...
Never.
That's what I mean. I hate those bullshits.
They can go back to being run by, was it My Football Club or whatever, the 6,000 people who used to pick the lineup.
That's terrible.
I think I officially used to part-own Ebbsfleet.
That's got me the title of the episode. I officially used the part-own Ebbsfleet.
The two major permanent ones, Hacken Hayreton at Braintree and Ben Strevens at Eastleigh, both done their work.
I'm glad you pronounced that because I was a bit nervous about how to pronounce your last name.
Which one? Strevens or?
Yeah, one Strevens. Yeah.
Strevens. Out of the two, that was the one you're struggling
with.
The one that says it like
Hayreton
it's
was really that fella who used to coach at Luton.
Yes, he was. So they've both done good jobs in caretaker roles for their respective clubs, and now given the chance to be permanent. So
absolutely. I mean, for Braintree, I like Hakan. He was a good coach. He was always a good laugh. He was. But still reeks a bit that they sacked Darren Quinton. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Can I talk about the top?
Yes, you can.
Wrexham are back on top, everybody. Leyton Orient are back up to second.
I tell you what,
and Salford are down to third.
Well, you love Salford. Well, they got. Well, let's start with Wrexham. Good win.
Yep.
At home.
Gateshead.
Against Gateshead. It's a weird dodgy defender for the first goal for Wrexham.
Yeah. I'm sure they went and shook their hands at the end of that one. I wonder if the fans wanted to do it.
Well, it's a bit far away. Leyton Orient got a brilliant 3-1 away win at Fylde. Not many teams are going to get...
Fylde hadn't lost for 9 games, I think, beforehand.
But not many teams are going to do well at Fylde.
No. So, even when they have a bad day, they're normally shoo-ins to get a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, and Salford, they got a last-minute equaliser against Eastleigh.
Yes. Talking about last-minute equalisers.
Go on.
Chesterfield got their 6th draw in a row.
Yeah, they drew with Harrogate. Yes, Harrogate.
Harrogate scored a 97th minute equaliser.
Is that Jordan Smith that scored again?
Jonathan Smith did score again for Chesterfield. And I'm sure the BT highlights still called him
Jordan.
Got
Jonathan, actually.
They did get Jonathan this time. Right. But yeah, Harrogate equalised in the 97th minute, and Chesterfield, that would have been their first win in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And more importantly, Havant and Waterlooville won again. They're out of the relegation zone.
They did.
On goal difference.
At the expense of Maidenhead, who have lost a huge amount in a row. We've talked about their big scorelines in recent weeks.
Yeah, and they lost against Dover,
which
is a good win for Dover.
You look at Maidenhead, I think they've got the lowest goal... Sorry, it's in like the they
lost 7.
Worst goal difference. They
lost 7 and 6
now. Yeah. So no, but minus 21 now already.
Yeah,
but
that's just 3 games.
Not the best preparation for a cup tie against Portsmouth.
No, exactly.
Which is on TV, so catch that one on BT.
Maidstone as well. They won 2-0 away at Barnet.
Yes, Barnet are struggling.
I think it's 2-0. Could be wrong.
It was 2-0.
Back to 12th.
Yeah, back down to mid-table. I don't think I had anything else for the National League.
No, I've got one more thing on the.
I had Dagenham lose again. That's all I have.
Tim Howell's going to come soon. No, his season's over. I'm going to have one moment. Watching the highlights of Solihull Moors v Bournemouth.
0-0.
0-0 game. Solihull Moors were playing in blue.
Yes.
Bournemouth's colours were light blue.
When their home kit's white.
When the home kit's white. So why on earth are they not playing in the home kit?
Shit gone mad, isn't it?
There has to be a logistical reason. Maybe someone brought the wrong kit bag or something like that.
I hope it's
true. The socks clashed.
Yeah.
The referee was wearing white.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet you it's sponsorship.
It was a cloudy day.
Even at that league, I bet it's a sponsorship. I did have one more, sorry.
Oh, go on.
Hartlepool. You guys were absolutely slagging me off a few weeks ago when they went into the playoffs, when I'd predicted them to go down.
Yeah,
and I still don't think they will go down.
The
they're in bad form. They got battered 4-0 at Bromley in the weekend.
See the goals they conceded, though?
God, yeah, they were awful, some of them. That's the first time you've used that catchphrase. But yeah, a very interesting performance defensively, to say the least.
Moving on to the National League North, and obviously last week I said Chorley were unbeaten. Were unbeaten, lost the last 2 games, and now lost 3 in a row.
Yes. No winning 5.
No winning 5, but they lost to Spinningmoor Town 2-1, who are in the playoffs. Otherwise, there were big wins down the bottom for FC United.
Yes.
Of Manchester, 3-0 win at Blythe.
Who are now level on points with Hereford, who have sacked their manager and not won since.
And another big win for Southport. 4-1 win at Kidderminster.
It's a bit of an interesting one, and it does link back to Southport. They're playing Boreham Wood in the FA Cup this weekend.
Yeah.
I just had to point out, I had to get it in the episode, Boreham Wood, the chairman, had offered free travel and admission to all fans travelling from Boreham Wood to Southport.
Done.
So well done to
Boreham Wood.
That's good.
At the top, joint top now of the National League North is Bradford Park Avenue, who won 4-1.
Have you seen how tight the top is?
It's very tight. Now that Chorley have completely
1
messed
point
up.
separating the top 5.
That's incredible. That's what you want, though.
That's
You hope it's like that at the end of the season. You want a proper last day. People with the radios on their ears, all that sort of thing. It's like...
You mentioned Bradford Park Avenue are flying.
Yeah, 4-1 at York, and RIP to them. But
3 defeats in a row for York.
Yeah,
you got anything about Nuneaton down this week?
Nuneaton of the week.
But I've got one more thing beforehand, which was Stockport are on a long unbeaten run now, and they're back up to 9th. So I hope they can get in the play. They're a club that deserves to be in the Football League. Got to earn it on the pitch, but they're a big club. But yes, obviously the main story in the North is Nuneaton.
Again.
The day after we recorded last Thursday, they announced their new owner.
Yes.
Nick Hawkins. Now, it all looked fairly good and promising, and the things he's done in the week since are fantastic. He's got the online club shop back up. He's organised a bit of stuff off the pitch that hadn't been there before, which is great.
Yep.
But I do have one little bit of concern at the end.
Oh.
So I've got the big statement, which isn't too much of a worry. He'd mentioned that he played there before, he missed a game there before through injury when they were in the playoffs in a lower league. He's got lots of hard work to do. The statement is actually brilliant. It's not one of the classic generic ones.
No.
He's talked in detail. He looks like he's gone into the club. He's seen exactly what's wrong, exactly what's missing, and what he needs to do. I don't know where the money's come from, but that's not for me to worry about. The one bit that concerned me at the end is he's played a lot in non-league, lower leagues than the National League North and South, but he's also managed a few clubs down there.
No.
And I've just got a sneaky suspicion that something's going to go a bit wrong there.
Okay.
How long before he says, I've saved the club, I want to pick the team?
No,
don't tell me. No.
And I hope not, because his statement's good, but just want to see how it pans out for a little while.
Yeah. Becomes football managers.
We all hope that Nuneaton obviously now survives.
Yeah, you don't want to see any club going out.
No, we don't really.
They put up a good fight against Chester on Tuesday night. Only lost 3-2, so they look like they're back to form. There's no more 6-0s coming their way.
On to National League South, and at the 14th attempt, Western Supermare won a game.
And at the team with your favourite name, I believe.
Hungerford, a bit Hungerford.
You love that, don't you?
There's a segment.
I don't like Hungerford. On football manager reasons, I don't like Hungerford. Otherwise, they're probably a nice club. But yeah, finally, going into the FA Cup game, they got a win under their belts. Actually, to be like, they got a point midweek against Dulwich Hamlet.
Yeah, and they'd got a point before that against Torquay as well. So they have been doing alright in the last few games.
They're finally on the rise. Sorry, I was going to say the two favourites for that league, Torquay and Billericay, faced each other at Playmore, and it finished 2-2. How happy are you, Cody?
I'm not too happy because Billericay obviously drew that game. We all know if Gary Johnson had been at Torquay at the start of the season, we'd probably be having a different conversation now. But Torquay are probably playoffs the limit for them. But what I didn't like is that every other team below them faltered, so that no one actually made any ground. Welling, I think, were held again. Woking didn't win or hadn't won one of the last two, so there were a few dodgy results down there. But I did want to give a special mention to Chelmsford. They played 2 games in 3 days, Saturday and Monday, and they won both of them. So well done to them. Hemel Hempstead is one of the big stories of the week.
Your favourite National League South side, isn't it?
Yes.
Hemel?
If you check out my Football Manager channel, you will know I do not like them very much. They had a new boss, Joe Deeney, in charge for his first game. They won
as well this week, didn't they? Actually,
yeah, they've got a couple of signs. One of them I'm going to mention. They won their first game away at Bath, and Rob Sinclair joined. And as Craig said, who is he? Well, Craig.
I do actually remember him.
Well, Craig.
Is his brother the one at Bristol Rovers?
Yeah, it was.
And his other brother plays for your team, Crawley, no less. He plays for the first team. Yeah.
So when we ask, is Craig?
I chat to Stuart Sinclair.
Is Craig more of a Luton fan or a Man United fan? And he said, "Who's this former Luton youth prospect who played for us?"
Yeah, that's fine.
Rob Sinclair's played for Forest Green at the top end of the conference.
Was it Bristol Rovers as well?
I think that's Stuart.
That's Stuart Sinclair. Sorry, right. That's what I get mixed up.
So yeah, there's a lot of brothers involved in the Sinclair family in football. Yeah. But Rob Sinclair was a decent player, good midfielder. Like the rest of them, he's got an awful long haircut.
So he looks like a
he's a good player, so I'm sure he'll do well.
Looking at the bottom of the league, East Thurrock got a point at home to Truro.
Come on!
Second bottom.
Do you know what? I tell you what, I think there's going to be a real scrap for the bottom. Like, about 4 or 5 teams.
We mentioned it when we were doing our pre-season predictions. Actually, I know I did Billericay for the laugh, but I think there were about 5 or 6 genuinely that you probably couldn't separate.
No.
Because we were picking 2 out of a hat from the 6.
But the bottom is very tight at the moment. Like you got East Thurrock, and you got Hungerford, and you got Truro and Western Superman. You got Gloucester as well.
Well, that's what I was going to say. One team drifting towards it were Gloucester. 4 defeats in a row, and they're only 3 points above it now. Yeah, and that's ever since the head of football at Hereford stole their manager, the outside the box manager, and he's not doing too well at Hereford, so that's not worked out for any of them.
They have got great footballs.
Great mitre footballs. It's an absolute fact. Tweet Hereford. Other non-league news, I did see a result in the FA Vars second round between AFC Uckfield and Croydon's.
AFC who, sorry?
Uckfield.
Right.
Is it not Uckfield?
Probably is Uckfield.
What was that? Uck? What's that noise? That's not even a word. Uck.
They're playing in the German league now, are they?
Whatever, don't care about them.
AFC Uckfield. Right. Go on, sorry.
Right, well, that team, AFC, they finished the game with 7 men.
One away from the abandonment.
4 players sent off.
Why wouldn't you just get the 5th?
They were winning the game. They won 2-1.
They won
2-1. So all that prize money from the second round from the Vars is going back into fines.
Fair enough.
I did also see another side that got 4 red cards in the 3-0 loss. One team in the United Counties League, Ensbury Rovers. They lost 3-0 to Penchbeck.
Can I just stop? No, I want to stop you here. You two, right? Charlie's not in.
I'm a lost cause. Yeah.
You spent stop. You spent 3 weeks every day. My Football Manager video comes out. You come on and go. How have you pronounced that? How the fuck have you got that wrong? Have you seen yourself tonight, mate?
Can I just make a point? I said one name of an Indonesian person wrong. You absolutely caned me on this. And you've got the last 4 teams that you've mentioned wrong.
And they're all just standard British teams.
No, I got Croydon right.
Well, you mentioned fines a minute ago, and I believe Charlie's got some news on that.
Yeah, I have. Right, so You'd have to fill in the details for me, Craig, but this was posted by the Southern League.
Could we say that this is going to be a very negative ending to the non-league review?
Yeah, not a negative. It'll be quite interesting just to see what your perceptions of this are. So what's
Can we guess?
Southern League?
Can we guess?
Yeah, give it a guess. Yeah. So Southern League. What step is
that? Step 3 in the non-league table.
So this was posted by the Southern League. But obviously, this goes across all teams in that step.
Okay.
Step 3
so there's basically the list of fines ranging from the minimum.
Oh, we've got to guess.
To the maximum fine. Okay. For particular offences.
This should have been question of the day.
This is before we start. This is not question of the day.
No. But this is obviously the minimum and maximum bit is the discretion of the league. So that's why it differs from league to league.
Okay.
So I'll just give you a few sort of funny ones, not funny ones, but interesting ones that you might think. Failure to have a mobile phone or email operational at all times.
£15.
£5.
Minimum £50, maximum £200.
Oh, because you have to text in the results before.
So, but you're talking about a non-league club, remember? So I'm just saying, if you start to total up some of these, it gets ridiculous.
I can't remember who it was. There was a team in the week that said they texted in their result within a few hours of the game, and they got fined for not doing it within 48 hours, and they couldn't get a response. Might have been yesterday.
It was actually. Yeah, it wasn't yesterday. Right. Failure to publish a match programme at a fixture.
25.
10.
You're not going to believe it. Minimum £250. Maximum £1,000.
So, before we have they did it online?
It just says published, so I don't know whether that's online. But still, £250 minimum, all the way up to £1,000.
So we're in a position where clubs who can't afford to produce a programme will be fined £250.
Which now, because I've got to be honest, I get annoyed.
Clubs have to try and build big enough changing rooms, and they worry about £250.
So the FA can't get enough money to get a referee for the teams in the league, but they're more than happy to go and fine you £250 for not having enough people to produce a programme.
That's what I mean. I get annoyed
because they're busy booking a fucking referee, aren't they?
Well, you go on Twitter now and you see these electronic programmes and all of that, and it annoyed me. But now I understand why, because I assume the cost of putting on an electronic programme are probably less than the printing of.
And you can get away with it being smaller because you can fit more adverts onto the website.
I mean, you can get fined here. Failure to provide an acceptable match programme. I mean, that's what it says here.
Hang on, that has to be a higher fine then.
No, minimum £75.
Oh, so
maximum £250.
If you don't produce,
so who defines it as it being acceptable?
I don't know.
Rubbish.
Yeah.
That's almost as bad as the handball rule. It's just a grey area, isn't it? It's just a big fat grey area.
Right. Failure to carry out a pitch inspection procedure in accordance with Rule 14.2.
Oh, that's
£100.
That's £250.
125 minimum, £500 maximum.
Both near enough on the money.
Here's no one. Late team sheet.
Oh,
75.
£50.
Minimum 25, maximum £100. £100 for a late team sheet?
No, I've been filling in team sheets for the last.
Do you know what's probably funny?
A month or so show. But
this work.
The thing what I don't get is the referees will come to you anyway to say they're on your team sheet.
Well, just listen to the next two.
But I bet you if you don't give in a team sheet, I bet the fine's less than giving one that's
late. But here you go. But think about how much that would cost. Right, here's the next one. Failure to start with 11 players.
That's £1,000.
That's a lot of money.
No, this is where it's ridiculous. Minimum £100, maximum £500. So I'm not obviously that's still a lot of money, but in the context of comparing that to not having a match programme. So if we're not having a match programme,
hang on. If you've got 11 players at kick-off time, but you haven't got a match day programme,
you'll be fined more.
You take one of your players off the pitch. Go and get him to do the match day programme, and you save yourself half the money.
But how absurd is that? Is that?
I think are you not looking for the word obscene there?
But next one, the next fine on there. Now, how you define this in non-league football baffles me. Failure to play a full-strength team.
How does that work?
Oh, this is the nonsense cup trophy all over again, isn't it?
Right. So the minimum for that £50, maximum £500. How do you define at that level? Obviously, look, the Premier League.
Sorry, hold on a minute. So
it just literally says
what's wrong with playing some young under 18 players?
But how do you know at that level? At that level, I'm sorry, all your first 11 could be working.
Well, if you remember last year was it Merthyr Tydfil who were in the Southern League? They pretty much went bust and they had to scrap the first team because they didn't have enough money, and the under 18s played in. Well, that's clearly not a full strength team, is it? You know.
No. But if your first 11 are all working, which does happen at that league on a Tuesday night or something, what are you supposed to do?
Here we go. Here's another ridiculous one.
What's the point of having a rotated squad then?
Failure of all occupants of the technical area to wear corporate bench kit.
Oh, no, I've had this in South Midlands League.
I mean, how ridiculous
they have to wear the South Midlands League. They have to wear all the subs have to wear a pink bib, and it says "Mind your language." If you don't wear that, you get fined. It's stupid.
How much?
Oh, this is probably about from 25 to about 75.
Minimum £100, maximum £500.
I was going to say 100 because it's part of the respect campaign.
It's ridiculous, though, isn't it?
Oh, it depends. Well, maybe, yeah.
Part of the respect campaign, something that shows no respect to clubs. Funny.
Isn't it? Yeah. Right, sorry, last couple. I won't keep boring you. Failure to return a trophy on the due date.
£100.
£50. Failure to get the trophy engraved.
Oh, so they have to engrave it?
£250.
£50 minimum charge and £50
Well,
maximum fine.
why is the club engraving their own? Why can't the league do that? That's a disgrace.
Failure to return the
hang
trophy.
hang on, you can engrave your trophy with your name 5 times the size of anyone else's. Or I bet there's a fine if you don't engrave the trophy within the set specifications.
It says failure to return the trophy in good condition.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
so essentially, if you fill it with champagne and someone drops it or something.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Right, here we go.
That's probably about 75 to 100 quid. But hold on a minute. What if you engrave it with the wrong name? Like you made a spelling mistake. For Pinchbeck.
Right, here we go. Here's another one.
Let's not try names, eh?
Failure to permit photography, filming, and audio and web broadcasting from your ground.
Wait,
Lots.
say that again.
Lots.
Failure to permit photography, filming, and audio or web broadcasting.
250 quid.
Yeah, well, minimum £100, maximum £500.
So basically, the price of a camera.
I mean, just in simple terms, this is
really pointless.
I know this has been you might say this is a silly 5 minutes, but it does show the amount of pressure clubs are under for stupid reasons.
Yeah, I mean, even
it's non-league football will die, won't
Look
it?
at this. Right. Failure to provide flags, £100. Failure to provide practice balls to visitors, £100.
Why are we
£100 for not having a bag of balls for visitors?
But why are we doing that for? What, that's
But
that's not the home team's fault. That's the away team.
What I done is, look, if they wanted to do these fines, which I think are really ridiculous, that's fine. But it's the relativity of them. So you could be fined £100 for not giving a team a match ball, but yet you can only be fined, say, 35 quid for altering the team sheet prior to kick-off once you've submitted it, except for an injury. If you've got an injury, that's okay. But you could alter the team sheet, that's only £35, and yet not giving someone some balls to warm up with, £100.
And not providing a match ball or a practice ball to warm up with isn't near enough the same fine as not starting with 11 players.
Pretty much.
Basically, what we've established is most of these rules are archaic, and all the ones you mentioned, like the programmes and the permitting photography and that, the more modern ones for social media and things like that, they've been made after, and the other ones haven't been amended. And as a result, we've got this ridiculous state of imbalance.
I just think it leads back to the last thing I'll say. It leads back to that thing we keep going on about how much it is, why teams are going bust and how much it costs to run a football club, and then you're hearing just ridiculous rules like that. Like the corporate sponsor rubbish in the technical area. I mean, that's just. What is this about? It's ridiculous.
So, see here, Some League.
And it's not just a Some League.
No, it's not just a Some League. I think that's from the FA, to be honest.
Grow up, for God's sake. It's hard, man. It's 2018. We're in a financial crisis. Question of the day time, and it is currently Cody 4, Charlie Bets 2, and it's still not going to get any closer to 4 at any point. So, my question...
Nice of you to have faith in him.
Well, I hope he gets it right.
Well, here we go.
My question of the day...
You hope he gets it right. How many times?
No.
This bias here is ridiculous.
I'll get it wrong, don't worry.
I know you two have you're older and you've got an age bracket and you've got a longer friendship, but fucking hell, mate, this is disgusting.
That is what I call a classic nibble.
Right. Come on.
Right. Who was the last non-top flight side to reach the League Cup final?
I'm going to get you to repeat this again.
Bradford.
Do that again. I know you're probably right, but just do it again.
Who was the last non-top flight side to reach the League Cup
I know he's got to
final?
run answer. We need to work on your wording of questions.
This is actually... I stole this from a programme game.
Why are we saying non-top flight side?
I find I say non-top Premier League
a
side.
team outside of the Premier League.
Who were the last Football League side?
Well, I just want to...
Right, go on. Yeah, so you've got Bradford.
He's got Bradford.
It's probably correct. I'm trying to think maybe who... No, it is Bradford, isn't it?
Do you want, I'll tell you what. He's got the question right.
Thank you for that.
Right!
But I'll give you a chance.
What?
No, I'll give you a chance.
No. This is really embarrassing. Go on.
No. Can you guess the last time before that?
The time before that? No, I can't.
Take a guess. Take a guess.
I think...
Wild guess.
I'm trying to think who got
This
that.
team could be in the Premier League now, or could be in the football.
It wasn't-
or could be
Leicester.
in the National League now.
It wasn't Birmingham City, was it, when they played Liverpool?
No.
Leicester?
No, okay.
Not Leicester.
Why Leicester?
I don't know, I just remember them being in the final. I don't remember if it was after or
No,
before they
the
got relegated.
answer for Charlie Bond is Cardiff City in 2012.
Yeah,
against
I remember
Liverpool.
that as well. I remember watching it, yeah.
So it is Cody
5-2.
5. Charlie Bets 2.
I'm not saying I'd have got the question right, Craig, because I wouldn't.
Oh,
however,
don't look for excuses,
I was so
Charlie.
bamboozled by the wording
Don't
of
look
it.
for
So by the
excuses,
time
Charlie.
I comprehended what you were
Charlie,
asking me, he'd
sorry.
already come in with the
Charlie.
answer.
It's the same for both of us. It's like, you know the managers who moan about the state of the pitch? It's the same for both teams, and I got it right.
Do you not
Fuck
agree,
off.
though, that
No.
his wording is
It
very
doesn't
confusing?
matter.
It was sufficient for that question.
It doesn't matter because he got the answer straight away. So I'm sorry. I'm
Look,
not looking for excuses.
let's all just be thankful we got through it in one take.
Cody 5, Charlie Bets 2. And that is it for today's episode. I've had an absolute mare. Join us Tuesday for another midweek rant. We're talking about the third place playoff. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to tweet us, it's at HonestFootball3, and we'll see you soon.
And hopefully, Craig won't do a question like Yoda.
Feel the force, mate. Feel the fucking force.